Hey guys, it's Tarek with Cyclone FPV. I want to thank you all for joining me today. This is going to be one of those new sessions I posted about, and the idea behind these sessions is going to be, one, I want to keep them within 2-hour length. This way we don't bore everybody and I'm able to get things done on time. And two, I want to start looking at an approach to trying to make, like I posted, builds more affordable, see what we can do. I want some input from you guys as well. I'm going to be reading the comments as you do them. Now, there's a delay of about a minute to a minute and a half on your comments. So if you post it, I'm expected to probably be a minute or so delay. If I don't get to it, I'll go back and review them later. So anyways, one of the things that I've been looking at is, we did the President's Day sale this past weekend, and I mean, I was shocked to see, our sales were through the roof. I was really excited. I want to thank everybody who took part in that. I hope you guys got some good savings on it. But one of the things that dawned on me was that, it's an obvious, but it's something that was definitely noticed during the sale was that, the difference in pricing between the regular price and the sales price. People just came out of the woodworks to be buying. They bought motors. They bought frames, they bought motors, they bought ESCs, everything under the sun. And you can see behind me here, this is, I'll try to turn this camera just a little bit. Actually, it's not going to move, I guess. Hold on, let me see if I can just kind of pan. It's a little, I'm cleaning up the bench back here, but along that back wall, you'll see a stack. And you'll see right there is a stack of shelving of, inventory from from transmitters. This whole second row here is cameras, and below it is frames that were part of what we're going to discuss tonight. And then on the back wall here, there's a couple thousand parts up there. And that's just one wall, and there's almost 8 similar to this. Okay, so the problem is I don't have a way to stack it all. Storage is becoming a little bit of a tough thing here. But the fact is that at the end of the day, if everybody is, if what our goal is here is to make this a more affordable hobby, right? A hobby, you could be doing it professional, or you could be doing it as a hobby, an enthusiast, or just getting into it. My goal when I started this was to be more in the frame design, and somehow I got into carrying components, and most of these were bought for me just so I could play around. I have a spending problem, I guess, but there is no reason to not be able to give everybody an awesome discount. Obviously money has to be made to keep the business open, but I think now it's time to listen to you guys and see where we're at. There are some caveats to that. There are some problems that come with it. But today what I wanted to do was, I thought it would be great to focus on exchanging ideas with you guys on some low-priced builds. My goal was, and I talked with my pilots about it, my goal was, I mentioned before, to bring in a sub $100 quad. Now, that would include the transmitter and the quad, just not goggles. I can't do goggles with that. There's no way possible for me to mathematically do it. And the sub 100 system would not be anything that would make, hey guys, I'm sorry, I just looked down and saw the comments. I say hi to Matt, Lawrence, Cody, David, and I scroll a little bit and I see Menace here, and Jimmy, and Dwayne. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate y'all tuning in. I hope we'll see more people come in. But okay, so we're going to exchange a lot today, and we're going to cap it at 2 hours, and we're going to do this. If everything goes as planned, tomorrow we'll continue where we left off. Today what I was going to do was, let's start with the build, right? So let's start with the build, and let's talk about building a $100 quad. All right, and let's try to discuss, and I've got something here. I want to go over my idea with you, and the idea is to build a $100 quad that is not a piece of crap. Right? So, it's something that I would fly, something you guys would want to fly, not some cheap piece of junk that's going to break on its first thing, or else it doesn't matter, you're out the money. So the first thing is, one of the things that's not, one of the variables, or one of the things that's not a variable, let me grab it real quick. My idea for this system is to automatically include the Evolution transmitter. I like the transmitter. It's a very good intro transmitter. It's a touchscreen based, and it's not cheap. I don't find it cheap in the sense of the quality. You don't have to use batteries. It's got a chargeable battery on it. It can be configured how you need. So right off the bat, we know we're going to go with this controller for the $100 quad. And I feel like by doing this, we're staying out of the cheap realm. in terms of quality overall. And I think if any of you own the Evolution series, the Turnigy Evolution, then you'll hopefully vouch for the fact that it is a decent transmitter, as opposed to some of the other ones that you could find that are, I mean, pretty low price. They require AA batteries, and shit, next thing you know, you're spending more to put the batteries in. So right off the bat, we're going to start with the Turnigy Evolution. This is going to be the one thing that is included. Hey, Brandon and Scott, hey, look, I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day, if it helps you guys, it helps me, it helps everybody. That's what we need to do. And I agree with you, Dwayne. It is somewhat unreal, but there's a catch to it. And I mean, the catch is that the products have to be found at the right pricing and bought in bulk, which means that I have to find, and I'll give you an example. I'm constantly shopping for parts, and I buy in bulk. I mean, so if I find a flight controller I like, I buy 500 of them or 300 of them. If I find a ESC that I like, I buy the same amount, maybe 100 to 500, whatever, cameras and everything. If the pricing is not so extreme or so great, then I may buy 50 or something. But in the case of building a quad that's at a great price, that's not cheap in terms of quality, I've got to find things that are either on liquidation from a company going out, or I wait until there's a huge sale and then I buy everything. Like for example, Hobby King had a sale last year, and on props, right? And so I was like, well, forget it. I'm just going to buy everything they have in inventory, and I did. I bought 30,000 of them. But buying in that bulk gets me a huge discount, and then I pass it on. My idea is, and I think you guys will understand, is the idea in business, you can have two approaches, right? You can either make a lot of money on a little bit of people, or you can make a little money on a lot of people and get your name to grow. I want to make sure that we focus on getting quads in people's hands. So I won't go, I'm not going to go into more of that, but I did want to let you know that one thing about this build, the $100 build, is that the Turnigy Evolution is going to be a requirement, because I do like the quality of it, and I feel like at the price point, it's going to help me give a good quality quad. Now, that being said, let me grab something here and show you what I'm working with. All right, so occasionally I will come across deals that, like frames, for example. This is an example of one, and there's a whole wall back here on that first row back there that I was pointing out. These are all frames. These are not frames built by me or cut by me. These are they're good frames. They're standard frames, and they're probably frames, if I'm not mistaken, the frames had retailed for probably 30, 40 bucks at one time. I buy them in bulk and try to get them down to like, yeah, I know, I don't know where to put them. It's terrible. I figure out, I try to buy them in bulk, and then we can pass the discount on. So I've been sitting on a lot of frames trying to figure out what to do, and then it dawned on me, let's do a good low price build. So this is an example of one, and I don't have all the info on it right now because I just got done stocking them back up, but this is an example of one that I believe right now is retailing for like $39 or $40 on, I don't know, I think maybe Hobby King or somewhere. But these are picked up by me for like, I don't know, maybe $5. I have no idea. I can't remember the entire purchase. I can tell you that the idea, though, is that it's a $30, $40 frame, and it is purchased in bulk by me when somebody's liquidating them. So that's an example, okay? And there are more back there like that. So for me, my goal is, hey, look, I can get you an intro quad, get you something of a good frame. I mean, clearly it's good enough to be able to handle what you need to do on it. And we're going to actually build this one today because I haven't built it yet. So I don't even know if we can hit the 100 mark, but I figured with you guys chiming in and us looking at this, we can do it. So the frame was the one big thing because I've got to keep the labor down. And so first of all, these builds are going to be built by you guys. They're not going to be built by me and shipped out built because I cannot do that at that price point, but you guys can do it. And I think it would be a great project. So we discussed the frame and we've discussed the transmitter. The next thing will come down to motors and flight controller and so forth. So the options here are going to be to go with a configuration that's going to be like an all-in-one or as close to an all-in-one as we can. one option on that obviously is going to be the HGLRC F3V4. That's going to give you the flight controller, and it's going to give you the VTX built in. So now all we're going to need is a motor and ESC, and we're going to need a camera. Outside of that, we're good. Now, so we can go, and I'm going to grab that real quick. So let me just grab, just to give you an idea, I think I've got 500 of these in stock. This is just one bin of them, but I believe my inventory count had about 500. So these are F3V4s, right? And as you can see here, they're workhorses. And I'm the Cyclone FPV is the warranty center for all USA-based HGLRC product. So I don't care where you buy them from, they're going to end up here if you have a warranty issue anyway. So I work with HGLRC very closely, and I try to buy a huge bulk from them as well. And I mean, our numbers would show that from them. They're very good to work with. So we can go with something like this, for example, or we can go with something a little bit more old school, which I'm all in favor of too, trust me. Which would be like the Naze flight controller, which is, the Naze 32, which is one of my favorite flight controllers because it's a work mule. So then we have to piece it with a VTX and so forth. But if we can do this, it's going to be a great project for everybody to do. So we've got a flight controller, and we could start with this one. Now, I may change it down the road. I may alter them. I'm going to have a couple different builds like that. But the main thing is I'm limited to how many frames I have. So I can only send out or sell as many frames or as many low price builds as I have frames, and I'll keep looking for frames to buy them in bulk. So hopefully every month I can replenish, but I think I've got 100 or so, a couple hundred at least here. So that takes care of the frame, and let's just say for now we're going to go with this. So with the flight controller being the F3V4, and these are brand new, they're not used, they're just not the newest board, right? Okay, so we've got the receiver, we've got the transmitter, which actually has the receiver inside. And I can actually do a split screen here so that you guys can see the product while I'm talking. So bear with me a second, and let's do this so that we can all keep track of what we're talking about. How the heck am I going to? I always screw this up. So give me 1 second. Nope, not like that. My bad. Hold on. Picture in picture. 1 second. Sorry. There we go. All right. So let me. Yeah, I think we'll just do it like that. Let me just change the screen around here. And you guys can see as I put the product down, I'll shrink my big melon down here so you guys can not have to be screwing around with that. So let's try it like this. There. All right. So now you're going to see the product as I line it up, right? And let me just kind of clean up my table a little bit. I had some builds to do today. So let me get this out of the way. All right. So we're talking about the, we've got the Evolution. We've got the F3V4. We've got a frame. Now there's going to be a couple different versions of this frame, but we've got a frame now to start. Let's see, what else do we need? Let me go here and kind of zoom in here. There. Okay. Okay, so now we need motors, right? So we need motors and ESCs. The option here would be to try and go with a 4-in-1. Thanks, David. And hey, John, I'm sorry I didn't say hi to guys. Hey, Sean and Josh and Jeremiah. The daily show is something I think we can all benefit from, because I can get on my thing about what I think is needed, but really it's what you guys need. So if we do this and we leave off, hey man, we can continue where we left off. And at the same time, you guys can shout out to me and say, hey, I really need you to cover this, or like say, hey, I need to know how to set up the Evolution. Well, great, we'll throw that in an episode. Why not? But if we limit it to 2 hours, at least we can all get back to our families and go have some fun, right? All right, so now we need to get motors and ESCs. This is where it's going to get a little tricky. I would not expect the motors to be super high end, okay? Meaning they're not going to be very expensive motors, but they're not going to be cheap motors. They're just going to be motors that will, accommodate the build. And they'll also vary depending on what we get as a deal from either a liquidation or whether I get them from the manufacturer at a good price, right? And then again, to the ESCs, we can go with something pretty simple. We can go with an all-in-one ESC. But the main thing is to keep this right at $100, all right? So let's get started, and let's see where we're at. Now, I'm going to get rid of the Evolution because we don't need to see that right now. But we can talk about this frame, for example. Now, this will be one of a couple different frames, so please understand that the frames will change, but they'll all be similar in quality, okay? And in doing so, and they'll be very easy to assemble. And my idea is here, I build one, and then you guys use that video to build it at home, all right? So getting to this one real quickly, there's plenty of room on this frame to add all the components we need. And so in this case, you know, if I open up this F3V4 and try to see how we're gonna house it, we've got the room to make it fit. It will fit, it's a little tight, but we should be able to fit this one. The other option again is to get with like an ACE32, which is, like I said, it's one of my favorite boards. It's a workhorse board. You're not gonna get, you know, you're not gonna be getting D-Shot 1200 kind of stuff going on here by any means, but I can promise you that I would only provide a quad that I would be good with flying and be happy to fly too. So, so trust me on this one. You're just gonna have to have a little faith in me on this to do this. And then, okay, so as far as motors go, I've got a few options. I'm looking around here to see what would be probably the best. I've got some Emax options that I may work in the price point. I've got some Multi-Star that I know I've put on the $145 build without transmitter that have done really well. I have not had any come back. Yeah, the 4-in-1 Racer Star is what I'm looking at, and I've got about 100 or so of them on my back wall. But the problem is the price point there with the motors is going to be kind of tricky. So I've got to make sure that we make this work while also making it as easy as possible to assemble, right? The other thing is that I would not expect these quads to go beyond. Okay, so here's the thing. Sean, I'm looking at your comment here. 3 to 6S is probably, I was just about to say that I don't think you're going to go past 4S with some of these builds, only because it's going to really depend on the motor that we're going to use. But hey, you know what? For the sake of it, we can just kind of get started and see where we're at, and then take it from there. All right. So there was another frame, and I'm going to go grab that real quick. Give me 1 second, and I'll be back here shortly to show you. Okay, so I was just grabbing a couple different things to run through. Sorry, I wanted to step and get these. One of the things that we did on our other builds that we ended up doing for the Grand Oaks High School, and that some of y'all bought as well, is, you know, we went with the 4-in-1 Spider. And in this case, there is a, this is the Naze board, by the way. Again, this is my favorite, one of my favorite boards, because they don't seem to break. And then this is the PDB in case we're going to need one. These are the Multi-Star Elite motors. These are what was part of this build, and they work well together. Again, these are not, you know, you're not getting into, like, you're not racing, you know, you can't, I can give you good quality that I know doesn't break, or at least lasts a long time. I mean, it's up to the user and the end user, but I cannot tell you you're getting a Ferrari at the end of the day. You're just going to get something that I know is going to work, you know, and it's going to last as long as you take care of it, right? I feel like I'm going to get, somebody's going to hit me with, you know, this stuff isn't, you know, it's older, and I'm like, well, yeah, you're right, it is older, but I'll tell you the same thing like when I describe any sport or anything else. I think that Tiger Woods could probably beat any of us in a golf game, even if he used a broomstick. So I think there's a lot of skill to it, and we can blame the equipment sometimes, but at the same time, if your skill's there, you can make pretty much anything do what you need it to do. I'm not looking to sit here and revamp quads and build a $500 quad for $100. I'm looking to put affordable quads in people's hands. So let's just keep that in mind and not have me on the chopping block here. All right, so so one of the options here, like I'm looking at with this, is doing a build like this one, right? And so if we were to take, and I'm going to go ahead and open this up. If we were to take, yeah, exactly, yeah. I mean, when I started with the 3S. I mean, and I haven't been in the industry that long. I started with the 3S, and I can tell you that, I mean, as much as we seek speed and we seek all this, I still feel like people miss some of the, in an open field, most of us could fly, man. We could say we're awesome, but man, when you get down to the bare knuckles of it, a 3S and a 4S can still push. I mean, they're not anything to be laughed at by any means. But anyways, it's, again, we're just talking, right? We're just brainstorming. So one of the things here that we can look at is we can go. Oh, the other option is going with those Black Widow motors that have the ESCs built in, right? So if we go that route, and I meant to grab those, so if you'll excuse me, let me grab a set. Are you leaving, Mama? Sorry, my wife's getting ready to leave. Let me just say bye to her real quick. Come on. And just listen. If you'll just pull up here, I'll get them out of the car when you're done. Okay. All right, love you. Love you. Drive safe.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm gonna go grab those motors. Give me 1 second. Okay, so one option is that, and I've got tons of these, and like I said before, if you guys had watched the build, I was holding on to these for me, but I think my wife has told me that I'm just hoarding now, and it's kind of getting on her nerves. So I guess it's time to let go of some of these things. I'm trying to find the counterclockwise motors. Let me see if that's it. Okay, well, for right now, I'll just pull these ones out. So another option is that we could use a Black Widow motor, and which has the ESC built in it. So I think for the sake of making this work properly, this might actually be the better way to go for the initial build. So let me show you what we're talking about here. And because I bought these in bulk, I think these might work pretty well for you guys. This is kind of the bigger version of the motor. I'm not so sure we would have to go with this route, but let's just get started and see what we got, okay? Hey, she looks like the new. Oh, I know, right? She's awesome, man. She's unbelievable, and I appreciate that. It's a nice compliment. She was reluctant to take the pictures, but I begged her. So, all right. So, well, let's get started and look at some of this equipment. And let me see if I can just shrink down my head here a little bit so that I'm not taking up the whole screen. There. Let's do that. All right. Okay. So let's swap this over. There we go. And get back to focusing on here. Hey, Dustin, thanks a lot. Oh, yeah, and guys, for those of you guys, there is a promo that's going to be running for the shirts, and I'll explain it more later, but just to give you a quick detail on it, I'm going to do these giveaways, and they're going to be random giveaways. And what it is if you have a shirt, and it's in your profile picture, meaning you have your Facebook profile, and you're wearing the shirt, and I draw your name, you win whatever we're giving, as long as that is on your profile. So it's kind of cool, kind of way to encourage you to wear the shirt and post it on Facebook. And like I said, I mean, you don't have to, but if you do and I draw your name, then you win whatever I'm giving away. And it's going to be fun stuff I'm giving away. Could be frames, could be motors, could be lipos, could be lipo straps or goggle straps or whatever it is, it'll be worth it, I think, and it'll make it kind of fun. So I'll give you more details on that in a little bit. All right, so I'm going to put this motor together, and we can just start kind of going over this and see what we've got. All right, and we'll just take it from there. So this is an idea, and if you go this route with this build, then I think we might be okay also, because the ESC is already contained in the motor. So this may be a route to go. And then one option is we can use the Maytech PDB. All right, so let me go ahead and open one of these. And there's plenty of room in this frame to be able to house that. So we can house the Maytech PDB, and it can sit pretty low here. And then we can house, let's say, like a NACE 32 on top of it. I mean, it's whatever we do. So let me open one of those and kind of give you an idea of what we're talking about. Okay, so in this case, we would be looking at a configuration, something similar to this. And then on that, we could I could put a low-priced VTX, and we'll have the Cameron VTX, and we're done. So your build would be basically something similar to this. I think it's a pretty darn good idea, and I say we build one. If you guys are up for it, we can go ahead and get started on building this one and put a couple hours into it and see how it goes. I mean, this may be an excellent opportunity to just make things happen. All right. So I would like you guys to chime in though and let me know what you're thinking, what thoughts you have on this idea in general, and if there's any concerns you have, please ask me, because this is being done for y'all. So your feedback is going to be kind of critical to everything at this point. So I'm going to get started with this, and I'm going to see which flight controller we're going to use, and we'll just go. And there are a couple other things that I'll bring up to you guys that we're working on. We did get with Rush VTX last night. They contacted me, asked if, and we did pick up our authorized dealer for them. So we're going to be stocking the Rush VTX stuff in stock. I've only had one of their boards in the past, and I liked it a lot. So now we're going to carry their tank, their light, and their race VTXs, by the way. All right, so let's get started with this and see where we're at. Now, I have never built this frame except for what you see here, so I may be taking things apart as we go, just because I put in the wrong size screw or whatever. So with both of these boards, the idea is probably about a 5mm difference in standoff, and so I think that's what we will use. And I don't want to go cheap on this in terms of structure and durability, so we're going to make sure that we do it the way we would do it if it was a regular build. Now, oh yeah, thanks, David. Please, guys, I would appreciate it if you would. I mean, the best way to make this work is to get more people involved in it, and hopefully we can get some support on it and start putting some quads in people's hands at a more affordable price. Which did bring me to the next thing that we were going to discuss, which I'll talk about as we're going. All right, so I'm going to make notes as I build this because I got to keep track of my building notes. So give me 1 second. Let me grab my spiral, wherever the heck I put it. Here it is. All right. So we will call this one, well, this will just be noted as the first $100 build, right? Okay, so on the first $100 build, we are going to start with, these are silver tips, so these are going to be 20mm screws, so let me just put that 20mm. And then we will put in the nylon fastener, and hopefully, I know the 2mm will keep the, it'll keep the PDB off, but I also want to check with that F3V4 as well and see. So let me see where I'm at. So yeah, what I was saying was talking about the frame. So one of the things I've also been looking at is, you know, I spend a lot of time designing frames and coming up with ideas for frames, and I listen, and my pilots have been really awesome. David, Bryce, and Aaron have been extremely helpful in their input. And by the way, Bryce, good luck tonight at the races. I know you've got a race coming up tonight, so represent, good luck, go kick some butt. Oh, sorry, these are, I meant 22mm. So my goal here now is to also start putting my custom frames in people's hands cheaper, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to do that. I found that one of the problems is that when I lower the price on something, now you have to understand there's a lot of work that goes into the frames, but even when I lower the price, a lot of times people equate low price with quality, and that's where I find myself in a bind, because the quality isn't going to drop. I just want to see if we can put more frames in people's hands and, you know, earn more business from everyone as they are able to fly our frame. So the goal here now is to also going to come out with frames that are, try to get my frames to where they're at $39.99. I don't know if it's going to be possible. I think it will be on some, but with your help, I think we'll be able to get there. If you guys can chime in and tell me what it is you want on the frame. If we can make it lighter, then great. That's less material. All right, so let's get this PDB in first. I want to see how it sits. Okay, so with a fastener on the bottom, we have plenty of space here for this, and so the next thing will be to put our standoff for the flight controller. Okay, and I think this is going to be a perfect height for that. Let me grab more of these. And if this can all work together, then we're going to have ourselves a very affordable quad for everyone to be able to fly. Again, that is the goal here. You know, and then you also want to be able to upgrade it. So I mean, you can always upgrade. You don't have to necessarily upgrade the frame. If you want to just upgrade the motors down the road, hey, you're not out all that money by buying something that doesn't allow for the upgrade. All right, so we've got our standoffs in now, and right now all I'm doing is I'm trying to do the sizing of this. Let me turn some light on here, and make sure that we can get everything to fit properly. Right, get that out of the way. All right. Sorry, there we go. All right. So this is an ACE-32. I'm just going to put it in for the sake of seeing how it's going to fit with everything. I think it's going to fit perfect, and with a 22 millimeter screw and the 5 millimeter standoffs, I think we're right in line to make everything mesh together nicely. So let me just go ahead and do that. Okay, so I'm going to get this motor off of here for now because it's kind of getting in my way. So let me just go ahead and remove that real quick for the time being. Okay, looks like we have some pretty good clearance there. I think we're not going to have any issues with that. We've got room for the lipo strap to go through. That's not going to be a problem. We can actually use the bottom of this to put the receiver underneath, because the lipo strap can be sent through. So let me go ahead and grab one of our lipo straps here and kind of get an idea if that's, oh my goodness, hold on, it's like having janitor keys. I'm getting there, I have one in particular I want to try, so let's try that. Okay, so let me grab this one. Let's see what we got. Because what I'm thinking is, on this, because we have to definitely make the room for it, so if I can get this to weave underneath, right? There we go. Come back through. Perfect. So what that does is, that does leave us this area right here. Let me see if I can zoom in just a little bit. That does leave us this gap here to be able to fit our receiver. So that may be, that may work. Josh, I don't think so, because the material alone, depending on how I do it, the material alone could be, the material is going to be costly. Also, the time involved to do it's going to be costly. I mean, you've got setup, you've got cleaning, you know, the cutting, and it just takes a lot of time. My whole thing here to keep costs down is to make my time much less by putting the parts together and shipping them, rather than actually having to do some of the labor work in it as well. So I don't see it as being an option on my builds right now, not with their transmitter. It's just not possible. We did do it without the transmitter, and we ran a special on that for $99, and we sold the heck out of them. But this idea was to get something with a transmitter in everybody's hands. All right, so Pablo, as soon as I know if this works, I'll be sure to hit you up on it, okay, my friend? I just got to make sure that everything is in line perfect to work first. All right, now one of the things that I want to be sure of is that these standoffs will fit with no problem. Looks like it's a close fit, but it looks like it'll be okay. So let me just go ahead and put this on here, make sure that we have a good fit. Okay. So now that we know where the receiver can go, we should actually be pretty good on this quad to make this work. I'd like to take 5 if everything works. Oh, Josh, it's going to work. I mean, there's no way it's not going to work. Let me just tell you. I'm going to make it work, because there's the simple truth to it is, if you just can, if you understand the parts here, everything here is going to line up just fine to work properly. So hang in there. I guess I'm looking more on the idea of fitting these things and making sure they fit properly, but outside of that, it'll be no problem. All right, so we've got everything here fitting with no problem. What? I don't know what happened to my feed here. Hold on, I'm gonna have to come back and figure out what happened to the feed. Bear with me 1 second.